Hey, Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to 2024 and welcome to Salesflix, a new feature from Proud to Sell where I will take a look at some of the best sales movies or movies with a strong sales theme and give my take on those and talk about what we can all learn, but what I learned and some of the inspiration as well as some of the embarrassing cringe moments that we all are so familiar with in sales and some of the movies. And my motivation behind doing this feature is very much in line with the theme in Proud to Sell around how art, pop culture, the media have all combined to create a overall negative sales stigma. Um, and so I want to set the record straight, but I want to start off today with a movie that has an extremely strong sales theme that, as opposed to being a negative sales stigma building type of performance, this to me says everything about the positive side of sales, and to me what it's really all about. And it actually sets a bar for a level of emotional intelligence that we all could use in sales. And so let's get right into this movie. So Sales Flicks episode 1, The Pursuit of Happyness. The Pursuit of Happyness stars Will Smith, who was nominated for an Oscar and even has his son Jaden in it, which it took me going back and reading more about the movie to remind myself that was actually his son playing his son in the movie. He's playing the role of Chris Garner, a true story, real life person who started off in the movie. If you remember this, it came out back in 2006. He uses the words, "This is my life and me being an idiot." And what he was doing at the time was independently selling these medical devices, these bone density scanners. And it just starts off with him. And I felt such a connection to him, to Chris and to Will Smith as they were portraying that. He was feeling pressure. He was trying to sell one of these bone density scanners or repair one to a client where he had already sold it to them, and just kind of the desperation and the struggle of sales, but also that entrepreneurial mentality of and risk taking mentality, which, hey, maybe he took that a little bit too far, and his family didn't agree with what he was doing. By the way, I'm going to try to keep spoilers to a minimum, because if you haven't seen this film, I definitely recommend you go out and watch it, but use it as motivation in sales. This one certainly has some extremely motivating moments and even some tearjerker moments, if I'm being honest. So, getting more into that, this does have some gut wrenching scenes um, that I don't know that I could handle as a father, as a salesperson, as a professional, and as a man, quite frankly. But the idea of resilience, overcoming adversity. I mean, haven't seen too many movies that have shown me that level of resilience. This guy comes back from basically a hopeless situation. So I think we all need a little dose of that right now. And so I definitely encourage you to find it. But little synopsis of this, so he's selling these medical devices that ends up not working out. And then he finds himself in a very desperate situation, but he gets a chance encounter. How many times has that happened in your sales career? A chance encounter. They always talk about that elevator pitch. Well, this really happens to Chris Garner. And he seizes that opportunity and finds himself with an opportunity to get on with a very highly respected financial services firm in San Francisco. But the process of him even getting that unpaid opportunity is not one that is easy or just is given to Mr. Garner. He has to go through some struggles that, again, I don't want to give any spoilers, but there's a couple of scenes here where I don't think I would follow through where Chris followed through. And if you've seen the movie, I think you know what I'm talking about. It's just mind blowing what he has to overcome, and the level of commitment and dedication to being successful and getting his family into a better situation. that just are so admirable. And so I think about these things often. Just from a straight sales perspective, like a day to day, one of the things I really took from this was, he wanted to be successful in his role, which involved a lot of telephone sales, making tons of calls back in the 80s when it was all about smiling and dialing. And one thing he mentions is that he didn't he didn't drink a lot of water during his sales day so that he would avoid going to the bathroom so that he could make more calls. And again, I'm not necessarily recommending anyone do that, but it's just that level of dedication and strategy around his day-to-day activities that I can relate to. Do you have a process, or is there something you do specifically that leads to you being able to do more meaningful activity and leads to better sales? I have some strategies and kind of some thoughts around that too. For example, I'll just throw this one out there. When I'm doing cold calling or a day of prospecting and where it's phone and email oriented and not in the field, I've limited my pre-research. I have to do pre-research, but I stop it. I don't go down rabbit holes. My number one goal is to secure a meeting. So I've capped, and I still think this may be kind of long, but for a brand new prospect that I know nothing about, I cap it at 15 minutes. So if I can make a call every 15 minutes throughout a contact, maybe it's an email, through every 15 minutes over the course of an 8-hour day, that's about 32 connections I can make or contacts I can make a day. In my world, that's pretty good. In your world, that may be different. It may need to be more. You may need to spend less time researching and more time actually dialing or emailing. That's up to you. But in my world, I kind of came down to that number as almost like a bottom line. If I'm doing this, like I should book some appointments and move things through the funnel. So I really liked, the portrayal of that particular sales strategy. But then overall, as just where the message of this movie is that things can seem absolutely dark and black and bleak, but you're still alive. There's always another day to sell, and that you can sell your way into a whole new life, which is ultimately what happens to the real life Chris Garner. You can look him up on Google or Wikipedia and see the successful business that he built. But I would call him, a sales legend, honestly, Chris Garner, the real Chris Garner, for what he was able to do and all that he was able to overcome that is portrayed so beautifully in this movie, The Pursuit of Happyness. So that's Salesflix episode 1. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll go watch this movie or rewatch it and get some motivation for 2024 and build within you the most valuable asset that you'll ever have, which is your resilience. Thank you for watching.